So in this experiment, I have two cans. One is filled with ice and the other one is filled with water. When I roll these two cans down this ramp, which one do you think will reach the ground first? The can with ice or the can with water? Let's check it out. The can with water reaches the ground first. But why does this happen if both the cans have the same shape, size and mass? This is because of a very simple reason. Imagine that both the cans are transparent and you can actually see what's going on inside them as they roll down. In the case of the can with water, the water stays in the same level as the can rolls down. The can and the water act as separate entities and roll down the ramp as a cylindrical shell. Whereas in the case of the can with ice, the ice and the can act as one entity and roll together as a solid cylinder. You can imagine these two cans as a cylindrical shell and a solid cylinder. But this still does not explain why both the cans fall at different time intervals. Here comes Newton's first law of motion, which states that objects tend to stay in their state of motion or rest unless and until acted upon by an external unbalanced force. This is inertia. Inertia is the tendency of an object to resist any change in position. In simple words, inertia is how difficult it is to get an object to move. Inertia of an object increases with mass of the object. Clearly, a solid cylinder has more mass than a cylindrical shell. The reason why we are taking the can with water as a cylindrical shell is because water does not roll along with the can when the can rolls down. The water stays in the same level as the can rolls down. The can and the water don't roll together. The water does not do any motion, and without motion there is no inertia. Now let's calculate the inertial resistance of both these cans. We are going to take the can with water as a cylindrical shell and the can with ice as a solid cylinder. We are going to calculate the inertial mass of both the objects, which is a mass parameter that helps us to calculate the inertial resistance of an accelerating object. Here I have two equations to calculate the inertial mass of a solid cylinder, the can with ice, and a cylindrical shell, the can with water. Here M stands for mass and R stands for radius of the can. Once you put the values for both the cans, you will notice that the value for the can with ice is greater than the value for the can with water. This makes practical sense because it's harder to move a solid cylinder than a cylindrical shell. The solid cylinder has more inertial mass than the cylindrical shell, hence it will have more resistance to motion and fall down slower than the can with water. So from this experiment, you can conclude that since the can with ice, the solid cylinder, has more mass than the can with water, the cylindrical shell, the solid cylinder has more resistance to motion and falls slower than the can with water. Thank you.